Hey man, how are you? How are you today?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Good, good. How are the kids?
Good.
Some rough mornings with school and stuff.
Yeah, kids are always unexpected for sure, man. It's always something.
No worries. I got kids too, so it's always a little bit off the script.
Yeah, it is, man. You're ready, and then you come in, and they're like, "Oh, nobody's here yet." And you're like, "Oh man, geez, that doesn't help me."
All right. So, first of all, thanks for taking the time. Really appreciate it. So let me just introduce you to why I'm doing this podcast and how it all came up, and talked to Logan a couple of weeks ago, and he recommended talking to you because he said you're an awesome gym owner. We'll see.
Thanks.
We'll see in a minute.
Yeah.
So I'm basically doing this podcast just to have a good conversation, like an open conversation. I'm a gym owner too.
Cool.
I love having good conversations, A, and B, maybe creating new ideas, talking about stuff, maybe thoughts, ideas that you have about the fitness industry, about what it's like running a gym, what you see in the future, and just sharing ideas, having a good conversation. Maybe even have some, not the same opinion on all stuff, which is great, right?
Yeah.
Let's go for it. So, and I wanted to
Cool.
create that place, so because I was missing it, right?
Yeah.
Because
sure.
normally when you start talking to gym owners, like everything's fine, everybody has 5,000 members and making millions of dollars, and like nobody gets hurt, the program is working fine, and no coach ever complained about anything, right? So let's
Totally.
just stop kicking the can further down the street and have a real conversation, right?
Cool. Sounds good.
Let's start off with just introducing yourself a bit. So, where are you from? What are you doing? Maybe a little bit of background, how you came into coaching, fitness, and all that kind of stuff.
Cool. My name is Lorenzo Hernandez, and I'm from Santa Fe, New Mexico originally, in the United States, and I lived here till I was about 23, moved away, got into a whole bunch of trouble. And when I was 30, I got arrested and went to federal prison for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of where I honed in my coaching. I think it was a hobby at first. And that's when right before I went and got locked up, I started doing CrossFit in Encinitas, California. It's kind of where I got my beginning at. So I got really hooked on it. Got arrested. There was some long months that were through trials and whatever and everything like that. And then I got out for a little bit of a pre-trial bond. And when I got out, I ran into the then owner of Undisputed Fitness, Tate Fletcher. And he allowed me to train here at the gym, and I trained at the gym for the 2 months that I was out. Really just started diving in head first. You know what I mean? I kind of was didn't know what to expect in the future. There was a very, very, I want to say bleak, but very non-understanding of what the future held. So I just kind of kept one day at a time, and working out really helped that more. So I've always been into fitness. I started when I was 21 doing the regular gym stuff that everybody does. And went away, started teaching people kind of how to do CrossFit in prison, which at that point, I was really one of the only people kind of doing it at that time, at least where I was at. And people were freaking out at me.
How long was that ago, roughly? Is it 10 years, 5 years, 3 years?
That I was locked up? 4 years.
But how long ago?
How long ago? 2010 is when I went in, and so yeah, it's been 12 years now. So where was I? So when I was in, just trying to teach people how to do the thing, and started grabbing people's attention. The then manager that used to run this gym, Heather McKernan, she used to send me workouts. My mom sent me stuff. Everybody kind of just kept me in the loop of everything. And I just kind of learned how to do things. I learned how to do Olympic lifting from a book from Greg Everett, if you're familiar with him. And that's how I learned how to Olympic lift with metal weights, which in prison you weren't allowed to drop that shit.
Obviously,
You get in trouble. So it's kind of where I found a little bit of a passion in the hobby I was doing. Still didn't have any idea what I was going to do. When I got out, and Tate and them had a position here at the gym for me, and I was just mopping floors, doing the thing that everybody does when you go into the gym, and then they got me certified, CFL1. Started slowly coaching, and long story short, just started climbing up the ladder. And at that point, me and Tate had to sit down, and it was either I needed to do more, or he offered to sell the gym, and then the rest is history for that one, for sure.
So you took over, became a gym owner basically overnight, more or less.
Yeah, for sure.
How were the first couple of weeks and months? Lead me a little bit through the obviously or allegedly struggles and maybe mistakes you did in the beginning. Did you start just by yourself, or did you have any coaches in the beginning?
So we had, it's pretty sweet when I got into it, and it's been 5 years now that I've had the gym, and I got into it. It was a pretty well-oiled machine already. I had coaches, money was coming in, and I have to find clients, things like that. So when I first started, it was very smooth sailing. You know what I mean? It was kind of just a shift in energy of ownership. I think the community itself was really enjoying having the owner hands-on, whereas Tate was kind of just in and out, and he had other things going on, for sure. So I think that was kind of a good energy shift for the community itself. The people that were working here, we always had it. We were coaching together, so we had a relationship. So they were good with that too. So I think the first 2 or even 3 years probably, it was good. It was really good. You know what I mean? I had a team. I had started to get more on board for team, for coaches, and so it was kind of thriving well until really until the pandemic hit, is when it was kind of just really doing well. A lot of members coming in for our area. I had 9 coaches on staff at that point. It was just pretty thriving, so I didn't really have to, quote unquote, worry about much, so it was nice. I thought I was killing it. And then then
everything changed.
And then the world came crumbling down,
So what did you do throughout the pandemic? Did you guys were allowed to be still open, or did you have to lock down, or how did that work for you?
Yeah, so we locked down 3 months. And we kind of caught wind that it was going to happen, so we tried to shut down relatively early, just get ahead of the plan. And plus the coaches at that point were kind of getting uncomfortable. There was just the unknowing was pretty hard for everybody, so they were just like, I don't feel comfortable coaching, yada yada yada. So we kind of started dwindling down anyway, and then at that point we just started to pull the plug. But they shut us down for 3 months, I guess longer than that, because it was almost 4 months that completely shut down. So during that time, I think we jumped on the bandwagon everybody else did. We did Zoom. We jumped on and started doing like an online format where we used Train Heroic, and we did a little bit of that, and while that the Zoom was probably the most successful, just because the connection of people could be seen still. The app that we used and that fortified program we did wasn't a big hit. It was okay for a little bit, but I think people just really enjoyed the interaction of humans. So we did that for a long time until we could open again, and then we did the squaring off everything 6 feet apart. Everybody had their little cleaning caddy. It was kind of challenging for me as the owner, and and having a lot of people that are on in the medical world in the gym, and there's discrepancy because at that point it was like you have to wear a mask when you come into the gym, and you have to wear a mask as you're working out, and we have these big bay doors, and I'm trying to keep airflow through the gym, and for me, no matter how everything was panning out, it was really hard for me to allow my clients to wear a mask during that time. So
did you have to wear a mask while training, or just going in and out? Oh, while training.
No, while training. Yeah. Okay. It was mega, right? So that was pretty challenging, and we kind of talked to everybody on the team, the staff, and then we kind of talked to everybody that was in the gym, and and my biggest thing was, it was like, you guys are coming here to do the one thing that nobody's talking about, and that's being healthy. And so if you're allowed to go to the restaurant and take off your mask while you're sitting next to somebody and get your drink on and start blabbing away, but you can't come in and get healthy, it was kind of an ass backwards situation for me. So, I kind of took a stand there, and not a lot of people, well, I would say most of my clients actually maybe didn't say anything, but they didn't have a problem. The people that maybe did came in with the mask on, and they kind of understood. Because I was trying to be very neutral, but trying to be very like,
that was healthy. Hard.
Yeah, right. That was a hard part for sure. The neutral part was very challenging. But we're kind of not in a shopping mall, but we kind of have we have a salon across the street from us, and those people are the ones that were like calling the cops on the time on us. So we would get cops come in, and they would be like, and the cops, like, they're just trying to navigate this shit too. So they're just like, I don't want to come here. I get it. It's hard. I don't like to train with a mask on either, blah, 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 this and that. And then as time went on, I guess we ended up getting so many phone calls that we were getting as bad of a rap as the Walmart here at the local Walmart. I was like, okay. So we actually had a detective sitting out in front of the gym for probably a month, just checking us out. You know what I mean? And it was shocking to me that they actually had a task force to kind of do this. And, I think our governor, she did the best she could to be as proactive as she could, but I think there was a lot of naysayers and haters that were just like, this is too much, and whatever the situation was, my biggest goal was just trying to keep everybody healthy. So this high intensity workouts with a mask covering your face, I'd try to do it and try, checks my oxygen every time, and I'm like, that's not healthy. You know what I mean? So that was a challenge for sure.
I think that's not to talk about COVID too much, but just that aspect of what health actually means for authorities, what health means for us as gym owners, as coaches, what health means for, our members, just regular people, soccer moms and average Joes. It was an interesting time just observing what's health and security means for most people. It was pretty similar with us here in Middle Europe, but what struck me most is a lot of people were kind of happy to be like not having to have an excuse for not exercising, right? Which is horrific, right?
Yep.
Those people never train anyways, but now they had like an official excuse for, okay, I can stay at home and please don't move and all that kind of stuff. And that struck me the most because, just going outside and just being in the sun with your kids or with your families. I'm not talking about like gatherings of tens of thousands of people, but just still like working out, taking care of yourself, watching your food, watching your exercise. And that, at least in Europe, never came up. As a part of a plan of, okay, keep yourself healthy, right? Through food intake and nutrition and exercising. That was interesting.
Yeah, same here, and I think when we got shut down again, I think I had voiced that, you know what I mean, of being an essential part of this issue, and what we're not addressing is the thing that nobody wants to address. You know what I mean? It's just like, put the Band-Aid on it and, live your life and be scared and kind of shelter in, you know what I mean? And that was kind of the hard part, about it. And, thankfully, I think a lot of people, maybe not everybody, but a lot of people have come into the realization that this isn't right. This can't keep happening. But there is that other extreme where people are still using this excuse of the thing that we don't really want to deal with anymore. You know what I mean? Of like, oh, well, it's because of the pandemic that I'm like this. And now it's becoming this crutch instead of like this opportunity to be like, man, we have this opportunity to change the way that we are as humans, but we're not.
I don't know how that evolved in your gym when you could start opening up again. But what I saw is a lot of people had a hard time getting back into their rhythm. And not only that, but they had like still that passive approach of, okay, this is happening to me. I can't do anything about it. This is just, I'm a passenger of that whole, whatever it is, train ride or whatever.
Train wreck.
Right. That was, I mean, maybe that's because of me, because I have a huge problem with authorities to begin with. Yep. I have a very hard time just following like stupid rules, and that doesn't mean I'm not thinking about it, but if you take a step back and just, okay, what food are you eating? Is that like, does that make sense, right? Is nature actually wanting you to eat that food or not? Yeah. And how did that evolve in your gym? Like when you could start opening up again, like how did your members change at all? Like new people coming in, was that kind of a switch change in those 2 years?
Yeah, so I think the biggest evolution that we had was, most of our members stayed on. It was interestingly enough, we have two programs here. So we have like kind of a lower entry program that's kind of like a sweat class, right? So it's a little bit lower in income wise what you're giving, and then our CrossFitters was a little higher premium price, and those ones seem to just stick with the thing the whole time, which was interesting. You know what I mean? So the people that are paying, it was $125 a month, they were just like, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore, blah, blah, blah. Which, at that point, everything is going on. People are afraid of finances. I get that thing, you know what I mean? But the people that were paying $225 a month, they're like, yeah, I mean, I'll still pay you, like, whatever, like, there's nothing going on. Like, it was just an interesting view of how people were taking care of their health. And I don't know why this dollar amount was kind of like attached to it, but it was like an investment to themselves or investment to maybe the place that they wanted to have open still, as they got out of this. But when we reopened, it was very challenging to get our athletes to just start coming in more often. So it was very like once a week, maybe every other day if they're, maybe at the most there was 3 days a week, and I think that was the challenge, because I think still everybody was very frightened about what they could bring home, but there was a big push from us of just like, if you can't be in here, be outside. If you can't be outside, watch what you eat. There's things like that. And I think the biggest part was just trying to get people to learn how to re-engage community, re-engage interaction with humans, you know what I mean? And I don't think for some people that, I felt for the people that were alone, because when you're a parent, I mean, you're actively moving the whole time. I felt like I was moving more than I was at the gym, you know what I mean?
If you like it or not.
Yeah, they're like, Dad's home, let's do this, you know what I mean? And my wife, she was a nurse, so she was in full on mode with that, you know what I mean? So she never really stopped working, but you know what I mean? So I guess the evolution was just trying to get people to understand their why their health mattered, and a lot of people did, you know what I mean? The people that stuck around did. We lost a lot of people because of, I think a lot of people lost themselves, and maybe because of what they had underlying issues, or they had family members that the same thing. We live in a city that is a very older demographic, so people come to retire. So it's been a very slow catch up, from 2019 or 20, I should say.
Yeah.
Very slow for us to get back to where we are. You know what I mean? So.
And reflecting on that, what's your did you change anything, or are you planning on I don't know, having different strategies, different ideas, how to get people in the gym, how to maybe treat them? Because I mean, if one thing is clear after those 2 years, like everybody who says I can't change myself, I can't change my habits, is a liar, because everybody had to, right? We were forced, kind of. Without judging it, like we had to change habits, right? Period. And what's your take on that? Like, did you have any specific thoughts about it for the future, like how you approach your business or gym or fitness in general?
So, I think for our gym itself, here in Santa Fe, I have another gym, which we could talk about later, is that the approach that I got here is the fact that for our existing members was just like really not like, I don't want to say bringing the people in or the retention of bringing the people in, but like the people that we have is making sure that they're taken care of. So it's like we would do quarterly check-ins with them, and that's like a literal phone call to each one of them. You know what I mean? And there's about 150 people here, and I think for me, that's enough. You know what I mean? That's enough.
So interesting. That number is so interesting, because it's the same for me. I have 140 something, and I don't want to go over 150. It seems like a natural barrier for still running like a boutique gym style, and people, and you can still talk about them. Their families, their issues, their challenges, their obstacles. Interesting. Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it is. And I think the biggest thing that we focused on was giving these check-ins. It was me, and my brother was running the gym with me then too, and we would just phone call, hey, how you doing? You know what I mean? Is there anything we can help you with? During the pandemic, what I did, and I wish that I could start that up again, is that I wrote them every single day. And for me, like, I love to write, so it was kind of really inspiring for me to do that. But what it showed to my people is that there's this connection out there still, because we're in this very, I don't know what's going on kind of scenario. So to have that connection with people and just touching base with people and just giving them some kind of insight that they didn't see before, I think really kind of help our community stay as tight as they are. The people that are here, that have been here, really kind of kept them tight. And so as we started opening up, still doing those quarterly check-ins, sending them things, we do postcards, anything like that, just to make sure that they know that we are always paying attention. Because I think that's the thing. Yeah, because I think that's the thing. No matter what, if we have, let's give you an example, like if we have a front desk person that's not really connecting with our clients, sending out postcards all the time, yeah, that's cool. But like, if you or I are like, Gary, you did this really great thing and whatever, and even doesn't have to be a PR or anything like that, but it's just like, I see you're dedicated, I see you show up every day, or whatever the little thing is that you notice with this person, they will hold that, they'll put it on their mantle, and that thing will be there for years. You know what I mean? It's those relationships that we have to build that have been probably the hardest part now, you know what I mean? Because everybody was kind of like, I don't know if I want to get close to you. And I'm a hugger, so it was always like a question, like, are you down to hug, or you're not down to hug? You know what I mean? Because everybody had their opinions about it. But that was kind of to keep our people, really understanding that the relationship that we have is strong. Now, bringing people in, I feel like here in Santa Fe in general, there's a cap of like how many CrossFitters I can bring into the gym because of our demographic, right? And because of the value thing, right? When you say, hey, well, our monthly membership is $225 a month, they're like, what the heck am I doing? But they don't understand the value of it yet, right? And so our feeder program, we call it UFIT here, and it's our sweat class, and that's kind of our feeder program. And for the longest time, I think I was just kind of the mistake that I made through it is like, I'm just trying to like navigate how we have this reopening, right? So when we first started reopening, I told my staff, you think being closed was hard? Wait, it's going to get way harder when we reopen. You know what I mean? And that kind of gave a little bit of an assessment to our coaches that were on staff. They're like, man, am I ready to do this? Because it is going to be harder for us as leaders to really perform and show these people that there's a way. So when I was going through this, trying to navigate it, trying to really, I think my fault was just like, I always called it like trudging through mud, because I didn't really know where to grab or to like focus on. I'm just kind of moving along, being open, you know what I mean? And I think what I've been noticing now is like 2 years have come and gone. And I spent so much time doing that I stopped focusing on the things that are important. And what we have come to realize is that the beginner mentality that we need to focus on is focusing on people getting into UFIT, because it's such a feeder program that people get in here, they use dumbbells, they feel like they're part of something, and then they start like seeing what the other people are doing. They're like, oh, I'm too afraid. And I'm like, just try the class one time. And they've been doing it for say 6 weeks, and they're like, oh yeah, I can do it. So it's like also this confidence builder for people that are like, oh, I don't do CrossFit, I won't do a barbell thing. But for 6 weeks.
Tell me more about the difference. So it's UFIT, right?
Yep.
Is it more like a less technical, less skill-based strength and conditioning program rather than CrossFit with using maybe more barbells and stuff? Is that appropriate?
Yes. Yeah, so that is pretty much head on, right? So it's less technical stuff. Obviously, we only use dumbbells. We use kettlebells, but we'll like stay away from kettlebell snatches. We have a strength portion, but it's maybe twice a week. It's more conditioning, higher reps, more HIIT style stations. But they're doing front squats, they're doing thrusters, they're doing hang cleans with the dumbbells. So they're doing these things that they just don't know that they're doing yet. You know what I mean? And we have a jiu-jitsu program too. And our jiu-jitsu program too is the same thing. It was like, how can we attract the masses that need it, the average Joes, because that's who we are, right? That we're not, especially in Santa Fe, we're not anything, there's like 2 or 3 of us that like to do the thing for whatever sport or like get at it. But most of us are just here to have fun. And so with the jiu-jitsu program, it was that too, is because it was always like this elitist kind of like only the competitors do it. But once we started tapping into the kids again, started tapping into the beginners, it went from 18 people to 45 people in a matter of like 2 months, because we have kids that just, I know, kids, parents are like, what can you get into? What can you learn how to do, And so as we start, this has been recent too, is as we've been starting really focusing on the UFIT program here, we have probably in this last month, 12 or 14 new members come through.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
That's a huge number. That's 10%.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And so the way that we kind of hook, line, and sink these people is that we do a 5 class for $35. And it's just like oh, $35, I could do that. 5 classes, boom. Yeah. So they come in, and it's when we as the team, it's like, we know that they're coming in, and it's basically our time to shine. Like, here they are, we have one chance to show them what we're all about. You know what I mean? And thankfully, like, we've done a great job as coaches. We do a pretty similar program as Logan does, and bringing our coaches on staff. You know what I mean? It's not like it takes time to get on the team, because when you're on and you're up there, we want to make sure that people are just kind of odd, but kind of like, this is the shit. Like, they take care of you, and I want people to know that right away. They come into the gym and I'm like, oh, you must be Sarah. Like, how the heck did you know? Because I'm trying to, like, we have Slack, and we're putting it on Slack to make sure that these things are communicated, that like, Sarah's coming into the first class for the 535. Dom, it's coming in. Cool. Hey, you must be Sarah. And like, there's just immediate like, shit, I'm important kind of deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then every day it's like, the whole staff that we have on right now is very good with names, and I think that's important for people. You know what I mean? It's like if you see them out in the world, oh hey Sarah, how are you? How do you remember my name? I just met you twice. You know what I mean? And it's that kind of connection that people are like, God damn, I feel like I'm a part of something, which I think is helping. You know what I mean? I think that's in the long run. I think people just want to be a part of something that they feel important with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Isn't this like, I mean, almost mind blowing? Like those little things, like that postcard, that true connection of not like saying, okay, congrats on your performance, but like, okay, like Friday 4:30, you killed it because you did this, or you helped Susie get the kettlebells out of the rack, or whatever it was, right?
Right. Yeah.
Those small things that should be normal. That's such a counterpart to that whole fitness industry that's just getting bigger, and screens and everybody. We don't need humans anymore. We just need bots and programs and just what the fuck, like
it's bad.
Pelotons and whatever's out there. This is crazy because this is so normal to me and you obviously, and for most people it's like, whoa, those people are treating me like humans. That's amazing.
Yep. Right? Yeah, and I think that's becoming the downfall of this this industry. You know what I mean? Is because we're not that you can't have this program, because I've followed many programs that are online. Not that it can't be great, but there's very minimal amount of people that have the drive to do it every day. The percentages of us that are trying to take care of ourselves or just try to move every day are already pretty small. So in order for somebody to, and it's that price point too, right? It's like $35, $40, $10, $5. It's like those things that you could just kind of get rid of and not really think about it, right? Which is great. The people that are running those programs, they spend a lot of time doing. I get it. It's great stuff. But I guess I'm not in that business. I try to do it, and it's just like it's too much for me, because I need the connection with people. I like to be at the gym to work out. I like to hang out. I like to see things that inspires me. You know what I mean? I like to work out with my people because it makes me feel like it's a part, and they want to, like, I'm suffering with them. They're suffering with me. That's the important part of it. And I think with all these things that have happened in the past 2 years, it's like, well, I don't need anybody. And true, you might not, but there's a day you're going to need it, because, we all start moving like shit after a while.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
How did you end up having multiple gyms? Was that a coincidence? Was that planned? Was it a strategy that just somehow like happened?
So, yes, it's been a strategy that I have been wanting to do. Looking back, it was probably maybe premature jump that I did. But the strategy has been, for me, I have noticed that if you want to provide, and I think that's the biggest thing I've wanted to do, the goal is like, I want to provide a place that gives opportunity to others and make this a career, right? So either you're the owner or you might be the manager, but then there's really nothing else there. So unless you're taking out the owner, you really don't have any room for growth. So the idea was to get another space and open another gym, or buy an existing gym, and then also have this opportunity for people to then have this as a career, right? Eventually, the other strategy beyond that would do it another one, because what I noticed, in the interaction or the transaction that Tata and I went through, and other ones that are going through or selling gym, is that like when you're selling a singular gym, you're buying the equipment. You know what I mean? So for somebody like you and I that put a blood, sweat, tears into this thing, I would rather try to sell, and it may not work, but I would rather try to sell a company that has these growth opportunities, the employment opportunities for people, than just the either you're the manager, you're hustling your ass off to be the PT man, or you're the owner once the owner gets out of the way. So there's like 3 options. You know what I mean? Not that those don't work for other people. I just knew that I needed to find a way out, because one day, the day that I don't want to show up to work is the day that I need to start looking out for the out. 5 years in, I don't have any any thoughts about that, which is great for me because I love what I do. You know what I mean? So that was the strategy. I'm going to move this Greg real quick. Sorry. So I can.
Yeah, no worries. No worries.
Just do
your thing. Yeah. I'll follow you. Just I don't want to take up too much of your time, but it's an interesting conversation.
Oh, you're good. Yeah, I know. I'm good.
Oh, I see the gym now, right?
Yeah, well, I'll go down there in a minute. So I have an upstairs, and then there's a downstairs way down there. That's where the big room is. And then this is where our jiu-jitsu program is.
Oh, nice. You got some mats down there. Sweet.
Yeah. We have it's a very, very boutique-y gym in Santa Fe. You know, we have 6,000 square feet, but it's on 2 floors. So it's very up and down, which is cool. Yeah. Makes it look very unique.
So let's, if you had one wish, or if not me in particular, but if somebody could fulfill like your biggest wish, your biggest need as a gym owner, like what are you missing? Like in that whole world, is it I don't know, is it some consultation about coaching, developing your coaches, whether it's technically or as leaders, as coaches? Is it strategic wise? If you had one wish, what would you wish for?
I think the biggest thing that I would wish for right now would be another team member that would kind of take over the development part of it. You know what I mean? And this comes into where I've kind of overstretched myself with 2 gyms. And that part is probably the thing that I have seen go down the tubes a little bit more, is that I don't have enough people in the pipeline. You know, at one point we always had anywhere from 2 to 5 people just kind of in the pipeline ready to be next. And what I think that helps with is obviously a growth thing for everybody, because, you know, when you're, I don't want to say the top of it, but when you're at the top of, you know, coach or owner or whatever, the nice thing about that development program is there's these new set of eyes that kind of get to see, or what we do is like this feedback loop and this evaluation forum, and they get to see things, they get to tell me where I'm doing something wrong. And for me, that's great, because then I'm like, oh, wow, I didn't even notice that, or wow, I've been, you know, slacking at this thing. But then it also gives the people that are on the floor kind of an itch to do more, because, you know, they're like, damn, somebody's coming to get my spot almost. You know what I mean?
So I'm sorry to interrupt, but by development, you mean like the coaching part of it, right? So the whatever it is, the finding different muscles, different strategies, how to coach, not always having like the same routines, whether it's barbell warm-ups, whether it's squat warm-up, etc. So by that you mean you would love to have, like, however you want to call them, like I don't know, coaching development, something.
An educator, you know what I mean? An educator to, you know, for our meetings, what we try to do best is, or our actual coaches meetings, is use that time to perfect the craft. But you know, a lot of times it doesn't happen. I would say the more wish list for me would be, you know, let's say like Logan has a Saturday class every Saturday, you know what I mean? And it's that repetitive thing that if I could have somebody on staff that would be that person when I'm out of town, that would be mega for me. You know what I mean? Because it would just keep the growth happening. And when that was happening, the energy of the coaches was different. The energy of the gym was a little bit different, because there's this constant seeking and growing that I think is missing in both the gyms. You know what I mean? In both gyms, it's probably the most challenging part that I see right now.
Okay, got it. And for your coaches, like, what do you think your coaches would need the most at the moment? Like, is it that person that you just described, which would help them? I don't know, like finding different strategies, how to activate muscles, maybe finding a different teaching strategy, how to teach people, rather than just running the same 15, 20, 25 warm-ups over and over again. So people kind of get, I don't know, maybe not bored, but like, once you hear it like the 150th time, it might be, people might not be listening. Is that the same for your coaches?
Yeah, 100%. I think it would be beneficial for my coaches to see other perspectives, learn other perspectives constantly, you know what I mean? And I think for them, it would keep them hungry. You know, it would always keep them to just look for some kind of adversity. I think we all get stuck in this complacency thing. Santa Fe and Albuquerque and New Mexico, you know what I mean? I don't want to say that we're low on the totem pole, but we have a tendency in this state to be kind of complacent. You know, it's kind of big. I know other entrepreneurs or business owners out there kind of run through the same thing. It's like, how do we keep our people wanting to learn how to grow? It's either like, I've been coaching for 10 years, I'm good.
Yeah, I know stuff. I mean, and that's true, obviously.
You do. We all do, you know what I mean? And I think that's great. But if we just think that that's who we are, then it's kind of bad. You know what I mean? It shows when people are like that. You know what I mean? They're just like, yeah, this is the warm up. That's a push press. You know what I mean? It just starts falling apart because you just start giving less shit. You know what I mean?
That's so interesting because that particular question I ask all the time because I'm interested in the answers, and I hear that answer like a lot.
Yeah.
And we as gym owners, we always think about retention in all the stuff you described, like having a personal connection, postcards, like birthday gifts, shirts, events, barbecues, you name it. But and then in terms of programming and coaching, you always think about, okay, like programming differently, like coupling different exercises, running different workouts, but we're never going like down that rabbit hole of, okay, maybe let's have a different, I don't know, like a warm-up strategy, and let's warm up like a specific muscle, because it's not being taught at the level 1 or level 2, level 4, level whatever level is in CrossFit.
Whatever. Yeah. Right.
And that's so interesting because that's the only thing that we've done in the gym, not the only thing, but that we focused on. And whenever we go somewhere and we do a work with a different gym, they're like, oh my God, like we've never done this before. It's like, guys, this is like, we call it the find, stress, use principle. So you find a muscle, you isolate it, like you work on it for like 5 minutes, maybe it's 4 minutes, doesn't matter. Then you go into the stress part, which is the movement pattern. Then you go into the exercise. It's a fancy way of just having a different approach to training. And that's such an overlooked retention tool for your members. Like people show up and it's like, wait, we've never done this warm up before. And they still have that crutch to hold on to, that back squat or that kettlebell swing or that snatch. It's like, okay, we know this, we're good. But in the warm up, it's like, okay, whoa, I've never felt my upper pec or my inside hamstring, whatever it is. Like, oh, it's kind of new. And it's exciting, but I don't like it because I can't feel it. So you keep people on their toes all the time. And not only the people, you get the coaches on their toes, right? And you get that curiosity, you get that, oh, I want to learn something new. And it's tough in the beginning because we don't like changes, right? We're humans. Yep. But then it's like, ooh, maybe I find a different way how to activate this. And how can I get Susie to fire their glute max while they're squatting? Maybe I can find a different strategy here. And now it becomes that lively process of coaches are excited, people are excited, and coaches are starting working with each other. And I think that's such an overlooked aspect of not only retention, but of, what do you want to call it? Coaches retention, members retention, is that spark of curiosity.
Yeah. Yeah, that's mega. I think that's a really cool way to program, because, you know, to keep, especially our clients, you know what I mean, to show them how to be aware of their body is sometimes the most challenging thing, because they don't know those muscles, you know. And it's hard when you're teaching 12 to 22 people at a time. It's like, yeah, you know, where's your upper pec? And they're like, what was that word? You know what I mean? Which is what it is, you know. And we've talked about that here in Santa Fe, because we have a smaller class group, is having that. And it would take so much time, not time, but I think it would take the right staff to do it. But we have a small class, 12 people at the max, you know what I mean, 150 clients. And the goal for me would have this, like this program where our clients would have their own strength or weakness that they need to work on through the first portion of the workout, and then have the last part as the camaraderie, let's get down, let's go throw down kind of deal. But that takes our coaches being on point. Like, you know, Susie's got this thing, she can't fire her left glute, and, and Bill can't do this, you know what I mean? And having their programs and knowing what the programs are when they come in, a lot of work, but that would be like,
yes, yes and no. I think there's major issues with most people, right? There's deficiencies in certain muscles that is just almost in every person, right? So you can start with like, okay, if we can get the lats to fire, if we get the pecs to fire, if we get the glute max to fire, the hamstring, that's huge. That will solve probably like 90% of the issues. Then you sprinkle in like fixing hinging, so locking the hip and freeing the hip. That would like, it's possible. We're doing this. Yes, you can geek out on it, and then it gets very complicated.
right.
But I think for 90% of the people, this is, if you're capable of doing this, like fixing people through your training without feeling like a physio session, like it feels like actual training. You're sweating, you're moving weight, you're carrying, you're squatting, and like your body gets less hip pain or whatever it is. Yeah, like, that sounds awesome in my ears.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. I think you're right. That's a good approach to it. I mean, so nerdy with it, right? Because it's general still it's not general, but it is general at least, right?
Yeah.
Because everybody can do it, but everybody needs those. Everybody's pretty much quad dominant, you know what I mean? Or whatever, you know?
That's what I'm saying. So we have like, if you want to figure out like the 3 to 5 most important topics to fix in people, it's what you just said, like too quad dominant, they're not using their obliques, rather their lower back, they have lower back pain. When they're going overhead, they have shoulder issues, AC joint, the pec is not working, biceps is not working. So it's not 100%, but if you fix the 5 biggest issues, you'll get 95% of people.
Yeah. That's good.
And I like that active approach. It's not like, hey, my shoulder hurts when I go overhead, and then I have like a regression or a progression, however you want to call it. It's like, okay, this is not working. If I engage this, my shoulder doesn't hurt. Everybody understands that. Okay. And then it's a year process to actually fix it. But at first you need to get that, oh, okay, this is the real problem. I have it in my own hands to fix it. The same as we talked about in the pandemic stories. It's being a victim of, okay, my doctor will fix that, my shoulder, my physio is gonna, and then I'm just gonna train. No, it's your time. That's your time to fix your shoulder. And we as coaches, we can assist you. We have a lot of knowledge about it, and we're gonna get you there. And I think that's what at least I would like to see the gym switching towards. Is just not running programs and losing people. It's running programs. People start realizing they need to learn. We need to be good teachers, make it curious, make it enticing, etc. And people make progress at the same time, which is awesome.
That's a huge thing. I think that industry needs, you know what I mean? Because it's either you're all hands on, or you are the gym that has just all the functional fitness equipment or whatever, and you charge $50 a month and you just come and go as you please. You know, 2 models work really well, but you can't be like kind of half in the all in one. You know what I mean? You can't be like, like that's what we noticed. You probably noticed too. You travel anywhere, you walk in, nobody says hi to you. Coach doesn't say hi to you. They never explain the warm up to you. You're like, what the heck is that word? There's zero conversation about what's going on, stimulation, what you're doing, anything like that. There's nothing. And there's more of that than there isn't, unfortunately. But you go to a gym that like walk in, somebody says hi to you right away, tries to get to know who you are right away. You know what I mean? And you know, you can't be in between that, or else, you know, you fizzle. Hopefully they fizzle.
So that's my, because I'm way more a coach than a business owner, right?
Oh,
I've got to admit this. I'm really shitty at running business. Luckily, a lot of people are helping me, like staying alive.
So I feel you.
But like that coaching thing and fixing people and making people like shoulder work again, like that's my thing. And how to teach that approach to other coaches as well. So that's why we're setting up that coaching education, which is not so much about how to manage class, how to set up equipment, how to talk to people. Of course, it's a huge part of it. But what I want to focus on is, okay, how the technical, the true craft of a coach, which means, okay, can you make that shoulder work? That's the only thing I'm interested in. And then we're going to work on your leadership skills and your blah, blah, blah. Because I like a good butcher. But the first thing I care about is, can he cut meat? And the second thing I care about is he nice? Right? If he has both, I love him.
Yeah, it's a relatable thing, right? You're like, oh yeah, that's one of the biggest things I look for. Relatable people in coaching, for sure. Yeah, finances for me is a big struggle for the gym. Management, really good at coaching, that kind of thing, that kind of fun thing, cleansiness of the gym, those things. Yeah, but it's just that finance part. I'm like, oh goodness.
Yeah, it needs to be addressed. It needs to be done.
For sure. Yeah.
All right, Lorenzo, I don't want to take too much of your time. Thank you so much for at least telling your personal story, telling your stories from your gym, being open about it. Really appreciate it. I had a lot of fun just having a good conversation.
Same, man. Yeah, learned a lot from you. That was good. Thank you.
Keep up the good work. Maybe when I'm around, I've never been to New Mexico. I've been to the States a lot, but never to New Mexico, I gotta admit.
Yeah, I've actually never been across the pond, so that's a goal.
Well, whoever gets there first, we'll go for a coffee.
Sweet. That sounds great, Greg. Thank you, man. Appreciate your time, man.
Thanks for taking your time, and have a great day.
You too. Thanks, man.
All right, man. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.